And welcome once again for this lecture. So last time we have seen few reactions of converting aldehydes and ketones into alkenes. Today we will see some specific reactions wherein aldehydes, ketones, esters, amides even can be transformed into alkenes or olefins using some reactions. One of the reaction is Petasis reaction. Now in this reaction the organotitanium is a reagent, and now this titanium reagent is on heating loses methane, and you get this carbon titanium double bond. Now this is the active species. Now when this interacts with the carbonyl group, you will get Wittig type intermediate which decomposes into this oxide and the alkene is generated. So basically we can replace this titanium by carbon of the olefin. Now this is useful in converting aldehydes, ketones, esters, tertiary amides to olefins. So this is very useful reaction for the conversion. Next reaction is Petersen olefination reaction. Now here organosilicon reagents, or the silicon next carbon, now carbon minus and then silicon having tetravalency. Now this kind of species where carbanion is there can add to the carbonyl group. You get once again the Wittig type intermediate which breaks down into silicon oxide and the olefin. Third reaction is Julia olefination reaction, wherein LDA is used to abstract the proton, this methylene proton, and then when the carbanion forms here, it interacts with aldehydic carbonyl group, you get this alcohol. Then mestyl chloride will transform into OMS, the better leaving group, and sodium amalgam in helping in removal of all those things, and you get the side chain, and that is how the reaction is named after, that is Julia olefination reaction. The next reaction will come to that is McMurray coupling. Now McMurray coupling is once again the titanium reagent is used, and the best part of it is two carbonyl compounds can be clubbed to form carbon-carbon sigma bond. So formation of carbon-carbon sigma bond is a characteristic of this reaction, and that's why this reaction is very useful reaction. So McMurray coupling is another reaction wherein we can see the coupling of two aldehydic group in the molecule or with two different molecules. So McMurray coupling. Now this McMurray coupling reaction, we are taking some simple example. The well known molecule will take, this is your acetophenone. Now when these two molecules are condensed in presence of TiCl3 or TiCl4, you get pinnacle type coupling, and this kind of coupling will give you the dimer type thing, maybe radical formation, and then the coupling take place, and finally when this is treated with zinc copper couple, the elimination of titanium furnishes the olefin. So this is the olefin what we are getting. So this is the tetra substituted olefin. So that is your McMurray coupling. Now this McMurray coupling is also used in coupling of aldehydic functional groups in complex molecules like Taxol. So this has got wide applications, and probably it is going through radical path. So once metal is there, carbonyl is there, you can think of pinnacle type coupling, and the dimerization takes place, and heating will eventually eliminate the titanium in the form of oxides, and finally you get the alkene. The next reagent is Tay-Bayes reagent. Now this is again a peculiar reagent. For you guys only the application part is important, so the details I am not covering because that may be out of scope. So this is the structure of reagent is CH2. Now this CP stands for cyclopentadiene group, and of course the other groups, other part is aluminum here, and dimethyl. So this is the overall structure of Tay-Bayes reagent, and when this interacts with your ketone, once again the titanium part interacts, aluminum goes off, this remains as it is, CH2, and then here I'll put the other way around, oxygen, and here it is R dash. So this is the CH2 which is interacting, this part is going out, and of course this eventually breaks down and you get the olefin, and of course you are bound to get the exocyclic double bond here, R dash and CH double bond CH2. So that is how the Tay-Bayes reagent work. Then next one is Shapiro. Shapiro is one example we are taking, in NHTS. Now this is tosyl hydrazone. So if you start with a ketone and use this tosyl hydrazine, you can get tosyl hydrazone, and here two molecules of N-butyl lithium are employed. I am just putting the product directly, and then we'll talk about the electrophile here, and then you get the. So the reaction mechanism is this N-butyl lithium Li plus. So this is the base which abstracts the proton from here, comes here, this goes here, this goes off. So initially what happens is you get R double bond R dash, N double bond N, TS, and H is there. Okay. TS goes off, so H is there. Then second mole of N-butyl lithium will abstract this proton, nitrogen goes off, it becomes Li, which eventually takes a proton or electrophile, whatever is there. So electrophile can be anything ranging from H plus to aldehyde, amide, anything. So this minus will take up the proton eventually during the workup, and you get the alkene. So a similar reaction is there, that is Bamford-Stevens reaction. We'll see the mechanism for that also. The mechanism is almost same, and You start with tosyl hydrazone and you end up with the alkene eventually when it is treated with N-butyl lithium. Now Bamford-Stevens reaction. Once again you are having a R dash, then base, and once again you get the stereochemistry is not fixed, that's why the Weg line is there, but the mechanism is more or less same. You can absect this proton, show the arrow here, show this arrow, this goes off, second time this arrow, and then this will take up the proton. The stereochemistry may be cis or trans depending upon the the R and R dash. So that part is there. Then next reaction is selenoxide elimination. We know that elimination can also provide a double bond, and the elimination of any group from the substrate can lead to unsaturation. So this is selenoxide. So selenoxide is the oxide of selenium, and some example is given here. This is the lactone and having the selenium phenyl group. With the help of hydrogen peroxide, the treatment of this group leads to the formation of double bond here. Now initially this forms, I will just put the mechanism in short so that it will be more clear. SeOH, I am just putting the hydroperoxide ion, and then this comes here and the whole thing goes off. Loss of water, loss of AC double bond, OPH. So everything is getting eliminated at elevated temperature, and that is how you get the double bond. So that is your selenoxide elimination reaction furnishing the alkene. One more reaction is there, we will do that. That is Corey-Winter reaction. Of course, there are so many reactions, but I am just taking the reaction wherein double bond is created, and here you are starting with a pinnacle. So the intermediate which is formed in the reaction looks like this. I am just putting the groups here, R1, R2, then you got R4, R3 which is there, O, this is there, and common will be sulfur here. Then the structure of this molecule is something like this, sulfuryl chloride, and one oxygen attacks, one Cl goes up, second oxygen attacks, second Cl goes up, you get this kind of intermediate. Then P OMe thrice. So this attacks, then you get S OPOMe thrice. Oh, this is minus. Once again it is going to be the similar thing, R3 R4. Then this goes off as phosphorus oxide, and then this minus comes back, this goes back, this goes back. So loss of sulfur dioxide, or loss of not sulfur, I'm sorry, now this is CCl2S. C is also there, so not this compound, so C is there. Now this is C, and then this is going to be S. Then carbon dioxide is lost, and then you get the alkene, that is R4 R3 R1, and of course carbon dioxide is lost, so the sulfur has to be there, not oxygen. So this is the molecule wherein you are having carbon sulfur double bond and ClCl. So ClCl are the living group, and eventually they go off, then attack of phosphorus, then negative charge comes here, this negative charge comes back, now this will go off, and then eventually carbon dioxide is lost and you get the alkene. So this is the Corey-Venter reaction. Now these are some of the reactions wherein the carbon-carbon double bond is formed. Now in next lecture we will see some more reactions or some more example, illustrative example on these name reactions, and then we will move on to the sulfur halide. The sulfur halide, the sulfonium and sulfoxynium halides, those two categories are there, and of course few examples of nitrogen halide. Then that will conclude the first chapter. At the end of this we will see some more examples pertaining to this part, and of course I will give some questionnaire also at the end of chapter, and we will continue in the same manner, because organic chemistry means you are supposed to know the mechanism and the predict the product, all such type of things. The basic reactions, I don't know with this Corey-Venter reaction will be asked or not, but as these reactions are relevant I am doing it, and hopefully will be able to complete the things in stipulated time. So 4 lectures are allotted to this. I will take 5-6 lectures, then that time is not a constraint for us because we have to do more, and we will continue doing the same thing. Okay. Thank you very much for